What up, YouTubers? It's Adventure Link here. Today I want to say a few things about the Trayvon Martin versus George Zimmerman case. Before I begin, I want to say for the record that I am not a racist. Quite the contrary, I do believe that good race relations starts and ends with fair, balanced, and equal treatment, rights, and awareness for all races, not just one race being allowed to make potshots towards another race, but when the other race retaliates, they always get made as evil, no-gooders, racists, in front of everyone and anyone, including their grandmothers, with a camera shoved up the rear end, even if they did nothing wrong to provoke them and was well within their rights to retaliate. Also, for the most part, this is all opinion with some facts put in here. Now, to get on with the case, here's the case in a nutshell. A young man known as Trayvon Martin was walking through a gated community, walking through the yards, and acting suspicious. George Zimmerman, noting that there's been similar incidents in the past regarding suspicious activity and break-ins, calls 911 to report the incident. Mr. Zimmerman indicates that the young man is in a hoodie and jeans, appeared to be black, and around the age of 19. 911 would ask about the description. Sometime during this, Trayvon notices George and stares at him. Mr. Zimmerman indicates this to 911. He also says he notices something in his hands, but not sure what it was, due to it being dark and raining. George decides to follow Trayvon and mutters a comment. They always get away. A little bit after that, supposedly a racial slur was mentioned. 911 then asks if George is following Trayvon. Mr. Zimmerman indicates that he is. 911 tells him that he didn't need him to do that, but despite this, he did so anyway. After this, Mr. Zimmerman agreed to meet the police at a predetermined location. Sometime after the call, there was a confrontation, a call for help, and a shot fired. Zimmerman was quote unquote arrested, but was let go due to him defending himself under Florida stand your ground law and a lack of evidence to suggest manslaughter or murder. However, his gun was held by the police as part of the investigation. Zimmerman still has a CCW permit. Okay, so due to the obvious media and racial bias and spin to try and make Mr. Zimmerman look like the bad guy, even if he did nothing wrong and is well within his rights, is it possible to get all the facts about the story without bias, spin, and or clarity issues? I'll look into the story a little deeper. To start with, is Mr. Zimmerman some black-hating white guy, or is he a black-hating Hispanic guy? To tell the truth, he is both and neither. He is mixed with white and Hispanic, though he claims to be of Peruvian descent. He doesn't hate anyone, he just wanted his neighborhood and community protected. In fact, he has been known to tutor and mentor African American kids in his neighborhood. In the gated community, it's as it says on the tin. You and your neighbors are surrounded by a brick wall or a fence with one or two ways out, with a guard or detail on each end. Unless you happen to have some kind of business there, you don't have any business there, and the guard can escort you from the premises. Same can also be said for neighborhood watch communities as well. However, most of those communities are open access, which means you can walk up or down the street or drive up and down the street without any kind of guard telling you you can't do that. From what I've seen and my understanding, this community happened to be both neighborhood watch and gated. Either way, this is a small community and everyone knows each other. As a result, someone not being there and or acting or appearing suspicious would be out of place if a stranger were to do that. Trayvon wearing a hoodie. There happens to be a reason why banks, credit unions, and etc. have banned people from wearing the hoodie, sunglasses, etc. in parts of Ohio and Seattle. The FBI even wanted to go so far as make this ban nationwide. The comment of they always get away. In my opinion, this one can be spun. It can be inferred that he thinks that the black people always seem to get away with everything. However, as said in the past regarding suspicious activity and break-ins, those that are caught by someone and reporting it to the police would tend to disperse and get away rather than stick around and get caught. Supposedly, after this got away comment, there was a mention of a racial slur in George's 911 tape, and of course this was initially spun by the media and racial spin as well, until it was proven on HLN, MSNBC, etc., that he actually said effing punks. As for 911 telling Zimmerman to follow him, honestly, I don't know if this can be held for or against you in court. All it is was just a 911 call center person who answered your call that night giving you that advice, not the state trooper or police captain or whatever. To the confrontation. It's unclear who started it, but all I know is that in the end, someone yelled help and Trayvon was shot. As far as a help comment, this could look bad on either part. If Trayvon really did start the fight and George retaliates, he'd look pretty bad dumb yelling help after attacking someone and then they start retaliating back. On the other hand, George having a CCW permit and his gun on him, if he was the one yelling help, it would look bad on him as well because he's got a weapon. I mean, seriously, you have a weapon, someone attacks you, be it armed or unarmed, regardless of who started the confrontation, and you yell help despite having a weapon. Seriously? However, George did have a gun on him, and if Trayvon would have gotten a hold of it, this could have turned ugly. When you're carrying a weapon, be it open or concealed carry, you have to guard it with your life. This is part of why when criminals struggle with the police, they tend to go after the billy clubs, tasers, guns, what have you. Thus police must always have the upper hand and protect their weapons and always anticipate such a grabbing and act accordingly. To say that George had no right to defend himself like that is dumb because by that logic, we should just let our criminals attack our men and women in blue, let them struggle all they want, and let their weapons and such be fair game to turn a bad situation ugly. Wrong. I've actually listened to some of the witnesses' 911 tapes, and unless I'm being one-sided here, I'm having trouble hearing those cries and screams for help and the gunshots, and those people calling always seem to not want to go outside and check the situation and then relay it to 911. Little unrelated, I know, but several months ago in the Newport, Kentucky area, where Kmart's is, happened to be an elderly woman who had her house broken into by a confused yet unarmed young man intruder. He was told several times by the woman to get out, and the woman ended up shooting him. Despite the fact that he was unarmed and confused, Newport police still ruled in her favor, and pretty much the majority of people who commented on that story on Fox 19's Facebook page happened to be in favor of the woman, myself included. However, in that case, both parties were white, so I guess it was considered all good. However, this case being Hispanic/white on black, there's definitely going to be spin and bias, so count on it. Also, there was a case of two black boys in Missouri setting fire to a white boy, all because the boy was white. Did it get media attention? For the most part, no. Honestly didn't even know about this if someone linked that story on that Fox 19 Facebook page. Despite this and a little bit of discussion, I don't think the story got aired here, but was aired in the general area of Missouri where it happened. However, the races and roles were reversed. You can be damn straight there would be spin, bias, and everyone and your grandmother with the cameras all over you, making you look bad. It was also worth mentioning that on the Today Show, and I think it was the Night Show or whatever it is on NBC, one of the 911 tapes happened to be edited and played, and of course made into more bias and spin to look bad against Mr. Zimmerman. Also, as a result of the bias and spin, he'd received many threats and etc. and was forced out of his community. So here's what you need to know, and the bottom line. In a gated community, the residents pay extra in addition to having their ritzy house. They have the guards up to keep riffraff and other such characters out. In a neighborhood watch community, the neighbors look out for each other and will report suspicious activity to the police. Either way, the neighbors all would happen to know each other and happen to spot suspicious activity, and if you have no business there, you are trespassing and will be considered suspicious, as Trayvon was considered as such by George Zimmerman. Hoodies, whether or not they help you make you look suspicious is another story, but like I said, there's a reason why hoodies and such were banned from banks, at least in parts of the state of Ohio. If you happen to have a weapon, be it open carry or concealed carry, you must be willing to defend it with your life at all times, because then if an aggressor were to get a hold of it, a situation can turn ugly real fast. And due to the obvious racial spin and bias, every time such a case like this happens, not to mention the clarity issues and the fact that Trayvon is dead, so he can't get a chance to tell his side of the story, unfortunately, in my honest opinion, we'll never really get the whole story of this situation unless you happen to listen to the uncensored 911 tapes. The racial media spin and bias really does need to stop, like now. Make of the tapes what you will, but in the end, it was about defending yourself, your weapons, and community. It was also about some kid who was acting suspicious, somehow got attacked or was doing attacking, and was eventually shot. Whether or not this ends up being self-defense on Mr. Zimmerman's part, though, is another story. And that is Reality Check.